Hello and welcome to the Supreme Leadership Summit. I am your host, Rachel Abba, and I am a Supreme Spiritual Guide and Courage Mentor to highly intuitive people. And I'm in the business of supporting highly intuitive women in particular become bold and feel seen and liberated to step out into the world and create tangible, meaningful successes for themselves on their terms. And today we have with us Asha Lapps. And she is a community builder and an entrepreneur and just like out there in the world creating incredible things. And I'm going to read her bio just in brief, and then we're going to learn all about her directly. So, as I said, she's an entrepreneur and a community builder, and she is a daughter, a sister, an auntie, partner, lover of music, reading, life, and all things personal growth. She's an entrepreneur and founder of the Black Queens of Durham region group, an online community of over 9,000 women. And I'm going to just like hand it over to you, Asha, to tell us a bit more about yourself and also how you came to what it is that you do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rachel. Really honored and grateful to have the opportunity to speak with you and your audience today. So we connected through the group. I've met so many phenomenal women through the Black Queens of Durham group. And as you speak about, I guess, in intuition, that's something that is quite familiar to me. So
Beautiful.
I came by the idea, and it's grown to 9,000 today. Did not expect in a million years that that's where it would be. I'm somebody, so it's Black Queens of Durham region. I grew up in the Durham region I've been here about 30 years at this point. And when we first came down here, there were not a lot of people of color at all. And yeah, it just was born out of my experience. So we started in 2017. So we celebrated our 5-year anniversary today. And it just came of, I guess, it's sort of a perfect storm. You can say some things were happening out there in the media when it came to racial issues. I've been in the region for a long time. I started to get tired of driving so far away to go to everything and thought, I wonder if there are any other
Are there
people
others?
who
Are there
think
others here?
like I thought. And I
Yes.
put a little call out on another group and said, hey, are there anybody who lives in this area who may want to connect? And I was thinking, hey, maybe 5 of us might go
And
for
a handful.
coffee. A handful might go for a coffee. And within 24 hours, there was like 50 to 100 me. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, we need to move this conversation maybe over into a
Yes.
Facebook group, came up with the name. So it was, yeah, it was definitely the nudge that kept on nudging of like, okay, these things are happening. There's like, I'm really conscious of when the anger starts to come up of like, okay, I'm really angry about these issues,
Yes.
but arguing with somebody on Facebook about whether or not there's racism is not a good
Yes.
use of my time. So
Yes.
I was like, okay, how can I rechannel that energy into a more productive thing? And you know, I sat on it, and it kept on be like, okay, the name is kind of rolling around in my mind, and to do
Yes.
something. And then once I responded to the call, then it just came this. Then we did the Facebook group. Then it's like, okay, well, we need to meet each other. Within a couple of weeks, we had a meet and greet, and the energy in the room was just there of like, we need this. And it's just
Yeah.
continued to grow from there. So there's not always a lot of huge planning. There's some planning in terms of events, but sometimes something will come up and it's just like, okay, gotta do this, gotta
Yes.
do this, gotta do
Yes.
this. And it's definitely, as you said, yes, I definitely have some help behind the scenes, but who the group is definitely a bit of an embodiment of myself, of just
Yes.
needing a place to feel like you belonged, feeling like on the outside a lot of times
Yes.
throughout my life. And yeah,
Absolutely.
knowing what that feels like and wanting a place for people to belong, be themselves, come
Yes.
in, get what you need, and go back into the world and do what you got to do. Come back, get your fill, go back into the world, do what you got to do.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, like a oh, it sounds like a rest stop.
Yes.
On a
Come
journey,
get
you
your
like pull
rest.
in, get a coffee, get a,
Yes.
connect, and then you're back on the road again
Yeah.
doing the workout in the world. And this sounds like it came from a need, like need,
Mhm.
or at least you identified an opportunity
Yeah.
um to fill your cup, right? And then wondering, does anyone else need a refill? Like, is it just me? Are we okay? Let's get together.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful because, there was no, um, you weren't under duress to create something. Like, it wasn't like, Asha, you have to solve this like problem or issue or challenge, right? We're looking to you. It
Yeah.
was you felt the nudge and then you acted on it, right? Like, I mean, you probably, like, if you're anything like me, like
Yeah.
scrolled around a bit and tried to like, oh well, now what can
Mm.
I, like, can I really, right? And spirit was like,
No, and especially as somebody who is more of an introverted person, and I
yes,
I can hang out behind the scenes with no problem. Like I don't
yes.
need that kind of I don't need to be the center of attention. But I do
Mhm.
know like I like to bring people together. So it's
Yes.
just kind of like an expression of the things that I know about me.
She
Yes.
brings people together and then
I bring
disappears.
people together. I can bring people
Talk amongst
together.
yourselves.
Let me just hang out in this corner, eat the popcorn,
Yes.
and watch. I love
Yeah.
to bring great people together and then kind of put them in a
Yeah.
room, see what happens.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that brings me joy, but I don't need to be on the stage. But now
Yes.
they push me. They're like, but you
Yeah.
have to be on the stage.
Grudgingly, she's like
Yes,
digging her heels in, and here
yes,
she is, and now she's on the Supreme Leadership Summit.
yes.
And uh, I mean, in my experience, this has been the case where, whether it be depending on your faith, if you look at Bible stories or whatever, it's never the ones who are like, yay, yay, me, it's always the ones who are like minding their own business,
Yes.
doing their things, like, hey, you're required to go over there, and you're like, no, no, I have a
No,
speech
I'm
impediment,
good.
I have I've got family, I've got
Yeah.
my, and like, yeah, you're going. So that's what it reminds me of as you're talking. I'm like, it's very
Yeah.
biblical. And so you're out there, and I've been to one of your events. I believe it was the fifth anniversary
Anniversary. Yes.
celebration, and I'm telling you, the energy in the room was palpable. Just next level leadership in that room, women doing all kinds of things from all walks of life, whether it be from homemakers to entrepreneurs to
Mhm.
real estate agents to brokers to, like, you had the whole gamut in beauty and fashion, in education, like literally
Mhm.
all through the system. And in that one room, I was like, oh my God, you can rule the world. Like, from
You
one
could.
room, you could, because everyone has value and has something um, to offer and to give, and coming together in that spirit of contribution, in that
Yes.
spirit of community, and just generosity as well. So it's a beautiful thing, and that you're creating, and that is a reflection of who you are, right? That is a
Yeah.
reflection of your beauty. So that's a mirror. What you're creating is a reflection of you. And so I'm honoring that and applauding you for your courage to be able to take that leap of faith
Thank you.
and come out of the woodwork, right, of your comfort zone, stretching out of your comfort zone, and just being willing to see what's next, right? Like, and then what? And then seeing where it connects and having that
Yeah.
curiosity. So I'm curious
Mhm.
as well, if you wouldn't mind sharing with the audience, what has your worthiness journey been like? So you get the call and you're
Mhm.
like, oh, I don't know, and then where do you go within yourself, within your life, to have that conversation with yourself of, I'm going to do this, I can do this, I'm doing this.
Hmm. So it's so funny because when you talk about like clarity and courage and then confidence, and I can definitely say that clarity is something I struggled with. Like whenever I would talk to my to my coach, one of the big things I'd be complaining about, of like, I need your help because I'm not
Yes.
clear. I'm not clear. I'm
Yes.
not clear.
Yeah.
I'm like, I desire that. Like, please
Yes.
just tell me like what it is I'm supposed to do next or
Yes.
what's coming. You know, when they say, what's your 5 year goal or your 10, like
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
okay,
You're
I
like, I'm
need
trying to
to
get through
know.
this week. Like, give me
Yeah.
clarity. Yeah.
Give me clarity on what I'm supposed to do next. And then I think I realized over time that like that was just going to be something that maybe I was going to struggle with. So that never came first. I feel like it's almost like it came after. Like so I would say the courage maybe was first, and I would definitely have to give this to my dad. So my parents were very opposite. My mom was always a worrier. Oh, don't be careful because of this might happen. And my dad was like, sometimes I wonder how did they even get together? Because my
It's
dad was
probably for that
always
very
just for
reason.
that. My dad was always like, just try it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, then it doesn't matter. He was
Yeah.
always say, just try something. Even when I used to do hair, so he would always encourage us to always just try
Experiment.
things and
Yes.
experiment. So yeah, I think that's where I come from. Is like I'm always willing to at least give it a try, and if it doesn't work I can say, hey, I tried it, it didn't work, but I don't want to live with the what if I didn't, what if I didn't do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And it can be messy, it cannot work, but I'm always, I have a lot of ideas are always coming, and like you said, I'm always looking at, okay, if there's a problem, am I going to complain about it, or am I going to try to solve it?
Yes.
And I work kind of from that way, and I'm willing to yeah, to kind of course correct, try and
Yes.
course correct along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that sounds like pivoting, right? You're able to pivot in midstream, which,
Mhm.
is definitely required when
Yeah.
you're,
And I'm also a planner though, which is sometimes in a
yes.
little bit of a battle because I want to know how something is gonna go.
Yes.
But yeah, so I think they work
I
together.
think, yeah, well,
Yeah.
this is a thing. We're not all one way, right? Like
Hmm.
we're and this is part of what supreme leadership is all about.
Hmm.
Being able to, I think um in transformation circles, there's this idea of four quadrants,
Hmm.
of people being like an analyzer, a promoter,
Hmm.
like all these different, um, and it's about incorporating and integrating all of these quadrants in order to be a balanced, harmonious, effective human being, right?
Yeah.
Because planning is required, courage and being like, out there is required.
Yes.
Being, whether it be an analyzer, promoter, controller, a helper, we're all, a little bit of this. Some are stronger in us than others.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing is, and that's part of the pivoting, like when planning is required, you've got it. When, you go into analysis, I believe the idea is not to lean so heavily in one direction that it prevents you from actually taking committed action
Yeah.
and being responsible and being effective and being engaging, right? And so these are all ways and tools in our tool belt to be able to go out into the world and be who you are, right? Be who I
Hmm.
am. So definitely you got some great like support from what it sounds from your parents, your mom being a bit more cautious, your dad
Yes.
being more like throw caution to the wind,
Yes.
and you bring the two together.
Together.
And so
Yeah.
you have someone who plans and so it's like and not either or,
Yes.
which is amazing. So yeah, that explains a lot, right? That explains a lot. So good for you. The other thing I would say is,
Mhm.
yeah, the courage piece you were talking about. Sometimes you feel the courage first, and then
Yeah.
and then the clarity comes after, where you're like, oh
After
yeah, I see it now,
I
but you're
see it
already in it.
now.
Right. And then over time, I guess that can build confidence. Was that your experience where you're like, yeah, I've done
Yeah,
it. Okay.
I would say so. Of just kind of that, like taking the leap of faith, and then over time trusting myself. Yeah,
Yes.
that I can do things, or I kind of have an idea of
Yes.
how this goes. Yeah.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
okay, talk to us about trusting yourself.
Mhm.
What does that look like?
That looks like I think over time, spending time with myself, getting to know myself and who I am. And even though there may not have always been clarity on what I'm supposed to do, there's definitely clarity in my gifts, who I am, what I'm
Yes.
good at.
Yes.
The clarity is there in that. And I mean, again, that has taken time. I'm now about to hit 43. So it's come, I
Youngin.
would say,
She's a youngin,
yes,
barely out of diapers. Go ahead.
right? So, I feel like that. I feel like there's still so much more to discover, but I would say
Yes.
in over my 30s was the time of just like gaining more of that confidence in who I am, really like liking myself and being like, Asha,
Yes.
you're a pretty cool girl. And I
Yeah.
mean, which is a big step from before of being really insecure about who I was over
Yes.
time. So just that kind of groundedness that I've gained again, especially over the last 10
So that
years.
came from experience, or that came from, because I mean, this is the
Mm,
worthiness conversation, right? Like you
yeah.
can be 80 and still not feel what it is you're describing. So it's not something that comes from time.
No, it came from being willing to spend some time with myself, and that the journaling and the self-reflection.
That sounds like an investment. That sounds like an
Yeah,
investment of time. You are investing in yourself.
I invest. Yes, yes. The reading, the books, the going to the seminars, the being willing to, yeah, the journaling like that. I don't think as much as just because you're by yourself or
Yes.
alone doesn't necessarily mean you're spending time with yourself. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Please. Okay. That's powerful. Like, honestly, listen to that again. That is absolutely, just because you're spending, like you're alone with yourself, doesn't mean you're actually being with yourself. Doesn't mean you're
Mhm.
learning anything consciously. You're describing conscious presencing
Yeah.
of yourself with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Which is where the investment versus the spending,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. And being willing to look at the really the hard stuff.
Look at yourself.
That, oh, not everybody, and I don't want to say not everybody is willing to do it. It's not easy to go through that process. So I think over time, spending the time with myself, looking at the the things that I maybe have gone through that have made me who I was, and maybe looking at some of the things that maybe I didn't like so
Yeah.
much, and like
Yeah.
uncovering some of
Yes.
the uncomfortable stuff
Yes. That
that I
reflection.
think yeah, brought just more of a groundedness, I would say,
Yes.
to who I am, and
Yes.
resulting in more of a just being comfortable with myself,
Yes.
comfortable in my skin. And
Yes.
I think even in that, willing to then step out and do things, maybe do things a little bit differently than
From
how
that
things have,
place.
yeah, from there.
Wow. Well,
So
that's powerful, because again, the
yeah.
self-reflection, presencing yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
allowing yourself, like permitting yourself to get comfortable within the discomfort, and
Yeah.
then really taking inventory of who you are and how you got there, right? And how you
Mm-hmm.
got here. And then within that saying, okay, not bad. We can do something with
We
this.
could do something.
We can work with
Yeah.
this. She's pretty cool. Some of the things, well,
We can
mm,
work on some of these
but
things.
there's opportunity. There's
Yes.
opportunity, right? But what it sounds like is still
Yeah.
an acceptance. It's like
Yes.
you're identifying it. It's like, yes, that happened. Yes, this is there. This is part of the
Yeah.
picture. How do I take this,
Mm-hmm.
leverage it, and refocus it, as you were talking about, and have it be, useful?
Yes.
How can this serve me? How can who I am being and who I am serve what it is and who I'm becoming, right? And then
Hmm.
you also mentioned, you work with a coach,
Yeah.
and that's something. Now, do you believe that, along this journey, like what role has that played for you in terms of, importance, having a coach versus doing it with doing it yourself with your girlfriends?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Because some people are like, I don't need a coach. I
I
don't need to
every
work with a professional
everybody
because
needs somebody. Everybody needs somebody who's going to keep you accountable, who has your best. And I think you should interview around and find somebody who's a good fit for you. But we all need somebody, and I don't think it doesn't matter. I think how high you've gone, it's worth the investment in yourself always to
what
work
would
with
you say to
someone.
those people who are
Yeah.
like, no, but I have great friends. I have my girlfriends. I don't need anyone else. I don't need a
They can
coach.
sometimes be like maybe biased. They could be biased in one way or the other. So maybe they're not willing to tell you it straight, or they're dealing with their own stuff that they may reflect on you. And even, anybody who's wanting to go to the next level and try new things. And I actually have a superb circle of girlfriends, like top notch people
Yes.
in my circle who they know that I work up here. So if Ash is going to do something, they're not like, oh, I've never had a girlfriend say, oh, I don't know, you shouldn't try
Yeah.
that. They're
Yeah.
just like, Ashley, you're super smart. You've done things before. I don't doubt you're gonna get this
Yes.
this done.
Yes.
So they're
Yes.
more the ones that are always telling me to go for it.
Encouraging.
But
Yes.
I don't necessarily think everybody always has that circle around them. So, and
Yes.
even when I've worked with a coach, it's just somebody referred me. She's an intuitive coach as well, and it's sometimes like, okay, I need 3 sessions. Okay,
Yes.
I need 6 sessions.
Yes.
And to the point where
Tweaking.
she even
Yeah.
told me, she's just like, you've done so much work. She said to me, she's like, you're the one of the few people who stuck it through a lot of the uncomfortable stuff, and you've
Consistency.
come out on the other side, and you she's like, I don't think you need as much sessions for me anymore.
Trust
uh,
yourself. Like, yeah.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think everybody needs somebody, especially if you're going to the next level. And friends have their place. I think it's so important to
Yes.
have good relationships, and you should evaluate those, because not everybody is necessarily, just because you grew up with them since you were 5 doesn't mean they should have, weighing on your life when you're in
Yes.
your
Yeah.
30s and 40s and 50s and 60s.
Yes.
But
Everyone has their value and everyone has,
yeah, a
something to
role.
offer.
Yeah,
So, use discernment.
yeah,
Maybe your buddy from, back in the day might not be necessarily one giving you advice on your business
yeah,
if they don't have
yeah.
a business and they have no plan on
Exactly.
running a business.
Exactly.
So using discernment,
Yeah.
you know, but yeah, and from what you're sharing, this
Mhm.
is all amazing wisdom and advice you're sharing here because, we've seen your journey, a little bit of
Mhm.
it, the trajectory, how you came about, like how you created Black Queens of Durham, your
Mhm.
decision making
Mhm.
process, doubting yourself, but yet trusting yourself and being willing to accept yourself and leaving yourself room for growth
Yes.
and always
Yeah.
having goals, right? Goal setting,
Yes. Yeah.
and getting, the proper support around you,
Yeah.
vetted to be able to, achieve those goals and
Yeah.
possibly transcend them so you can set new goals. And that's your whole growth, evolution, transformation journey, which is so
Yeah.
exciting because
And
you went from nothing
one thing
to
I was just gonna
9,000.
add,
Mhm.
was that spending the time with yourself. I think that COVID happened, and a
Yes.
lot of people they were forced into that. So I was sort of lucky that it's something I had already kind of been doing. So it's like, okay, you got to spend some
Yes.
time with yourself.
That was a wake
All
up
right.
call. That was a wake
Yeah.
up call. Yeah, for so
Yeah. So if
many.
you didn't really have a process for that, I think it was disconcerting for many to be with themselves when
Yeah.
they had not really prepared for that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, truly what you're sharing there, I mean, we touched on it before, but it's
Yeah.
really powerful. That idea of just because you're on your own or you're, doesn't mean you're with yourself
No.
because we have so many distractions, right?
Yes. Yeah.
there's so many, we can scroll, we can,
Yeah.
you know, watch movie
Yeah.
marathons, you know what I mean? We can
Netflix.
do,
Do the
right?
binge. Yeah.
We can, binge in so many ways, like
Yeah.
whether it's we're watching the fridge, we're watching TV, we're watching
Yeah.
there's so many ways to distract ourselves from
Yes.
ourselves that the pandemic was definitely a huge wake-up call. And, based on just in the transformation industry, I don't know
Mhm.
if this is something that you experienced where in transformation, so many people who are already up leveling in terms
Mhm.
of like coaches and mentors and their business skyrocketed.
Mhm.
The pandemic did not affect them negatively at all because, as you said, many people were forced not only to spend time with themselves and take, inventory, but
Mhm.
spend forced time with the people in their circle, right? Like
Yeah.
they were forced to spend time with their family members, forced, like they got to assess themselves, their relationships, their
Yeah.
decisions, their careers, so many things, like so many people were just quitting on aspects of their lives and releasing relationship, releasing people, releasing
Yeah.
careers, right? Because they're like, this is not who I want to be,
Yeah. And like,
right?
and in quick time.
Yes, like
Yes.
the great resignation, but it was like
Yeah.
resignation from everything, right?
Everything.
On
Yeah.
different levels. So, and you had, you said that you were ahead of the curve on that because you're already in that introspection. You're already working on yourself with yourself,
Mhm.
right? And planning
Yeah.
and
And so it
taking
wasn't as much of a
committed
shock.
action. No, it
Yeah.
wasn't. You just like
Yeah.
rode the wave. You're like, yes,
Yeah.
I know. Let's just do more of it. And
Exactly.
so I just want to take this time just to again congratulate you and to applaud you for what it is that you're doing, who you're being, most importantly, and what you're creating. Black Queens of Durham, that group, again, as I said, it's powerful because the people who form it are powerful women. And I'm really looking forward to seeing all the things that you're going to be creating, no pressure. And, the future live events and things that you have. I can see this like just going, it's not just a Durham thing. This is global. This is a
Yes,
movement. This is a mindset.
it is.
And yeah, and we have, someone who is incredible at the helm of this. So, is there anything you would like to share with the audience before we wrap?
Yeah, I'll give my takeaway. So I guess just along the lines of what I was doing during the pandemic and pre-pandemic, what I
Aside
were
from weeping and eating, go ahead.
aside from all of that,
Which was fun. Yeah.
would be to have a solid morning routine. So anything that you do in the morning before you pick up the distraction, before you pick up the phone, ideally. And I don't get to every single thing every morning, but anything, we talked a little bit about it before, from gratitude every morning. I still do my gratitude, 5 to 10 things I'm grateful for, some sort of deep breathing or meditation, some form of exercise, moving your body, reading. So my goal would be 5 pages a day for some sort of business or inspirational book. What else? I know some people do affirmations, some people go for a walk, whatever you have to do something to ground yourself before the world inundates you and tells you what they want you to think and watch and whatnot. And I
Yes.
think, again, particularly in the pandemic and post-pandemic, even more important because there's so much just like negativity and news and all this sort of thing. So whatever you can do, and especially if you can do it before you pick up the phone in the morning, to ground yourself in your day so that you move
Yes.
through the day. I feel like, and I don't
It's almost
get
like an
get to it
inoculation,
every
like
day.
you're inoculating yourself and
Yeah.
putting that field around
Yeah,
you so
around you.
that, like armor in a
Yes.
way,
Yeah.
protection, like protecting your mind, protecting your
Yeah,
well-being as you go out into the world,
exactly.
you're more able to,
Just I guess deal with or tackle things. So it's just like you
yeah,
set yourself on how you want to be, whatever comes at you during the day hopefully won't affect, not that it won't affect you at all, but hopefully won't affect you as much. So I would say
Yeah.
that kept my mind in as best place as it could be during, and I mean we're almost at the 3-year mark of this thing still happening. So
Yes.
yeah, so a morning routine before you turn your phone on, and if you are able to, I try to turn my phone off at night. Maybe not everybody can do that, but
Yes.
whatever you can do before grabbing your phone first thing in the
Yes.
morning.
Well, that sounds, I
Yeah.
mean, that's definitely, sage advice. And,
Mhm.
in terms of how you start your day and how you
Mhm.
conclude your day. And
Yes.
it sounds as if it's more, how do you um, protect and maintain your mental health,
Mental health,
right?
yeah.
Fortify yourself, and so that you're able to function and thrive,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
not as much almost like spamming, right? Coming into your
Yes.
inbox. Like you go,
Yes.
you clear your inbox. It's you can
Yes.
see it's clear, that's the clarity piece. And then, just yeah, prepping
Mhm.
yourself so that
Yeah.
you're at your
And end of
best.
day, now how you talk about end of day, I usually do what made today great. So I try to
So
pull
you
out
do the
some things.
affirmations, not the affirmations, the journaling, your gratitude
Uh
journal
Gratitude
in the
morning
beginning
at the
and
beginning, and
before
at the,
you.
yeah, and then at the end I'll pull out what made, specifically what made today great. And then I'll
Yes.
do like a small to-do list about any of my top things for the next day.
Beautiful. So
Yeah.
that sounds like, okay, so I love this. It's
Yeah.
like a perfect book ending,
Yes.
right? Like you bookend at the beginning, you bookend at the end of the day,
Yes.
and that way it like holds you. That sounds like a
Yeah.
beautiful
And
holding
I
space.
decide how I want
Yes.
to be in the morning, how I want my day to end. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that is the framework. And then the contents and what that looks like in between can change and shift because you have that ability to pivot.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much.
You're
Honestly, it's
welcome.
been amazing talking to you, Asha Lapps. For everyone, thank you for joining us. I will see you in the next video. Bye for
Thank
now.
you. Thanks.